Hello everyone, welcome back. So, time for a new update. I know that this is a little bit like overdue, well, a lot of overdue, but consider this basically almost two updates into one. I tried to introduce the explanation of why I couldn't come forward earlier in the previous videos, and in this one I'm going to explain really exactly why, and you'll understand better why. So I'm just going to go right into it, and I'm going to call this period of time a little bit of magic, and it's fitting not only for the events and all that took place until now, but also for this time, I mean the month of December, when there's a lot of celebration, there's a lot of happy festive things going on. And I'm going to start with the problem. I was fine. Ironically, I was fine, as one can be when there's a lot of weird activities around me and inside me. I went to the doctor September was, beginning, middle of September, to just confirm myself that I am fine, which I was. If I find that the results, I'm going to insert them here. I had a serious physical checkup, blood test, everything done, and all seemed to be normal. Only after the results, a week, 2 weeks later, it wasn't anymore. And what happened actually? Well, as I was saying in the previous video and at many other times, things are changing all the time. And this affects not only the reality around us, but more importantly, what's inside us. The structures, the architecture, the design, the information that's inside, the programs, everything that works and how it should work, what's not working anymore, what changes. So this affects the experience or how things work or have been working until now. And for me, this showed up. Well, there were a few signs, but I kind of overlooked them because they were random. There was like one or two signs previous to this particular event, which was the beginning of October. We were out to one of my favorite places, the falafel place, and came home, and I felt sick, but like really sick, feverish, although I didn't have fever, and the whole sign felt like I might have appendicitis. And I went again to the doctor, and the doctor said, I am fine, I do not have appendicitis. But the symptoms they were really, really scary, because everything that I was eating would just flare out into my body. It's just like give me like weird sensation and headaches, and basically feeling like I'm burning from the inside out. It was really, really scary. So I figured out that this might be leaky gut, because there were certain points on my belly where I would feel like, okay, this might be something sensitive here, an area that had been attacked. But why? Because of how I eat, how I live my life in this past few years. I mean, this whole thing does not make any sense. But as I was saying earlier, changes happen all the time, and now it was obviously another shift, which I explained in the previous update, that well, back then I was on another timeline than previous to that update. Now it's another one, but I will go to that explanation a little bit later. So the thing that worked until then couldn't work anymore. And there were also signs that certain things that I was eating before, although as I said, I don't eat a lot of commercial things. Even the bread that I consume from time to time, I have this like from Vasa, I know this like thin bread that is just dry, and it's just, anyway, so even this was starting to bother me. I felt it when I was chewing it. My teeth, my gums were sensitive to it. At this point, I was like, I don't know what else to eat when I'm supposed to eat, honestly. Well, after this event, I went back to baby food. What does that mean? Well, if you have babies, you might know what that means. So like steamed broccoli or pumpkin puree, avocado, really simple things. But in the early stages of this eruption, I couldn't eat anything else besides like really simple soup, like, and that had like carrots, leek, parsnip. That was about it, I think. I couldn't tolerate anything raw, juices, salads, nothing. My body was just rejecting everything that was raw because it would go in through my bloodstream and there would flare up and just like weird, really bad. And at night I had to put by the way, I don't sleep with a pillow. I don't like to sleep with a pillow, but I had to put a pillow behind my head, so I won't feel how this thing that was coming from my stomach would come to my head and bother me and give me all this like craziness in my head. I couldn't put anything on me like a cream or something. I don't wear really makeup in general, just very little from time to time, but I just couldn't put anything on me, because this would immediately, my stomach would just like react, and it would go directly into the bloodstream, and I was just like, wow, that's just insane. So yes, I had a period where I couldn't really walk too fast or stay in a certain position because this thing would give me, like, I felt this like a whirlwind. It's just like, and I had to really either find a reading position, laying in bed, or I don't know. I was very, how should I say, limited how I live my life in this period of time, or at least in the beginning of the situation. Now it's much better, but it's not completely over. So yeah, this kind of like derailed me from my usual derailment. Yeah, so that was a big thing why I couldn't come forward and focus and do the transmissions, because these videos in the end are also transmissions. Yeah, so that was a big part of what actually made me stay put. But in retrospect, and what had transpired after that initial explosion thing, weird situation, a lot of good things happened, and a lot of good change took place after that. And in the month of November, I don't know if you've noticed, actually it was right at the beginning of November. It wasn't even Portal Day. By the way, the time right now, when you say Portal Day, it doesn't fit anymore because the time does not match, the calendar, the real time does not match our calendar anymore. It's just because when the shifts are happening, and how should I say, the calendar basically right now it monitors a reality that does not really exist anymore. That's the best I can explain right now. So that's why we have certain dates don't really make sense. It's like, why did it happen now when it was supposed to happen then? Because simply the actual time of what's happening right now, the energy level, is very different than the actual calendar. So certain things might seem the same, but not really. A lot of things have changed. So this huge change actually makes sense. As I was going through this thing, because I was basically forced not to consume the things that I was consuming at the time when I was choosing to consume food, were obviously blockages. They were blocking this transformation, and also going through going forward and jumping into another timeline, that was like basically telling me, okay, now you're going to stay put so we can do this, which I did. And in the month of November, I got rid of a lot of things around the house. I just felt the need to just like declutter again, and but also I got a lot of new things, new energy in the form of all sorts of things, from furniture, books, I don't know, even clothes, all sorts of things that it was a time for a refresh. And this has continued into the beginning of this month. It's like it was this wave, like, okay, I couldn't stand anymore things around me, and I needed to match the level of the energy that was coming through, which helped with everything. So in case you've noticed that things look a little bit different, is because in the month of November, but also the beginning of December, on the 2nd, there was a huge opening again. And you might say opening, I might say opening, but in the end it's just jumping into another octave of time. But time, again, it's energy accretion. So the timeline shift, the timeline shift again in November, but then again it's a different quality for that timeline now. It's just strange. Usually in the winter time, the energy accretion slows down, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, the energy accretion is stronger and there's more. That's why we have summer there right now. But because things are not the same, and the speed with the spin and the speed at which these things happen, even now here in the northern hemisphere, things still feel like more lighter and not that compacted as they were previously, even a year ago. So right now, winter does not feel like how winter has been until now. And some people want to say this is global warming. Yeah, well, global warming is happening, but the causes of global warming, they are not what some people say on TV and things like that. So that will continue. I'm sorry to tell you that. And I know there's worries about that. But let's not focus on that right now, because it's just no point in doing that right now. So this is not the same time as it were even, as I said, a month and a half ago. This is not the same reality. I see things transpiring in politics, in economics, in technology, things that haven't been really available until now, and they were just like, as I said, great ideas or whispers, like, oh, this might be like this, and certain things now become reality, and they're like, wow. But this has happened a lot throughout this year, but as I said, this is happening because of all these rapid changes, and finally certain things are being unblocked, and the energy is allowed to come in more and restructure everything and everyone, although most people are still not aware of that. But as I said, this is a very different reality than even what it was like a month and a half ago. For me, another thing that was important throughout, especially in this 2 months, is, actually from the beginning of December with the last, I would say, jump, finally there was enough energy to hit another painful point in all that has been had unfolded for me in my life, my own story that brought me here. To finally reach that point where I can actually let go of the whole story, let go of it, although it has been very, very painful, especially when you invest time, your life in one direction, and you see at the end of that direction that it's just like, no, You're not supposed to be there, but you're supposed to do this until now. From now on, something else. So with all this energy expansion, as I said, for me, I receive all sorts of revelations, and I am being shown constantly things. It's not something that I force or I do special techniques besides cleaning and what I am shown to do. This has to do with my codes and with basically what I am, but I cannot talk about that too much or to make a big deal out of it, not at this time anyway. I'm just going to play the role that I am assigned, which is not easy, by the way. So I'm sorry that I'm so vague. Whenever I'm hitting this particular point, which I know it's important, I am overwhelmed sometimes of what has been and what's to come, and how much work has been done and how much work has to be done from now on. Yeah, so with this opening, I could finally, the things that were attached to me, finally, it's that time where we're separating. And well, we're separating for a long time now, but it's a different level. As I said, the language here does not have enough that's why I'm actually learning coding. Language is coding. Everything is language or coding, or vice versa. When you understand that what you're looking for is beyond this limited perspective, even this limited language, you will start to open yourself, and you will start to receive the truth as the way it wants to come, and it doesn't necessarily come in the manner that most people expect, even the people on the spiritual path, which I told many times, this is a path to freedom. If you're meant to move forward, you will move forward, and you will do what you need to do. I'm sorry that if this is cryptic and this is weird and this is random. These are really strange times for me, because more and more everything that has been solid becomes fluid again. I explained that in previous updates, and the way I receive the information, which I'm going to put in the books later, further in the books in the series, they are meant to change you. They are meant to open certain things inside you that you don't have access otherwise, and obviously they are meant for a certain time when those can be absorbed and integrated. And in regards to the books, because I know that there's been quite a few of you that have been asking me about the books, if there's any news, if they're back. I'm sorry. In this regard, there's been a year of waiting. I had to get to the next level of my patience this year. Hopefully, I won't have to wait that long, but as long as I am in a country where there's so much, as to say, not fluidity, but like volatility, in terms of papers, bureaucracy, and things like that, I really had to exercise a lot of patience. I still have to. It's not going to take forever, but it is what it is right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I have no news for you. This might take a few more months, more than I had imagined, but yeah, here I am. I survived all this. In this sense, this year hasn't been easy, but a lot of other things have moved forward, paper-wise and things like this, things that concern me in my future and whatever, things like that. But this part right now hasn't. I still have to wait a few more months, I guess. Anyways, I will announce when everything is back online. Don't you worry. Yeah, sorry about that. Coming back to this time. One thing that I want to emphasize is something that I've been starting to talk about in previous videos and updates, the importance of technology from now on. I know that just by saying the word technology, there's a lot of minds, especially on this path, that will freak out and immediately will retreat in their fake magical perspective and will not want to listen to what I have to say right now. I just want to tell you that from now on, reality will become more and more complex, more and more refined, more and more abstract, and technology is here to stay. It's not going to go away unless, I don't know, some calamity might happen, but that's obviously another timeline or whatever. People have to start all over again. But as things progress, as the energy grows, things will unfold, and you have to accept. I mean, if you don't already, I mean, then again, I might actually have to ask you, why are you watching this video? Because this is through technology. This is because there's a lot of minds that came with a lot of abstract thoughts, and they made this. We have now internet, we have the camera that I'm filming this video right now. You're watching this on your phone or on your laptop or something like that. So that's a lot of technology. So if you don't accept this kind of things, I suggest you shut all these things down and you take them out of your life and see how that looks like. There's nothing wrong with technology. It needs to be made. It needs to be better, and to serve people better. But also people need to elevate themselves, so they find ways of how they can use technology from now on, and that will match the level of their obviously elevation, their energy, their awareness. So that's another thing that I am shown constantly. It's something that I cannot escape, or something that is just there, and I'm shown about these things all the time. And it's not necessarily always in the way that most people understand right now, or use technology right now. Everything becomes more and more like a dream, and well, it's our job to to see where we go. If we have a nightmare, or if we have a good dream. So yeah, in terms of technology, humanity will have to elevate itself and understand that the future. Its future depends on its awareness, and as long as people remain at a level where everything is from the stomach below, that's not gonna fly. That's just we're not on the right direction. So one of the things that right now are going to be solved is exactly this situation, and this will actually create the big shift from now on, because as long as you keep people trapped into, as I said, from that level down, you will never have you won't have access to higher thoughts, or those things will be distorted. They will be seen through certain filters and through sort of distortions and things like that. So it will be hard to actually create the right tools, or even if you have the right tools, if you don't have the right mindset, then that's a big problem. So that's actually the biggest problem today, is because technology has advanced, has moved forward with a very small, like a handful of people, those that actually are able to create it, and much less with those that actually are using it, because those that are using it, if they're trapped in a certain mindset, a certain cultural, social, religious background, this kind of like this continuum around them, yeah, that's that's still it's blocked and it's not going in the right direction. So this is going to change now a lot. I want to add one more thing to what I just said about technology. So technology, well, electronics are what is, how to say, it's the bridge toward what's beyond this reality, because eternal life, the eternal mind, is like that, operates in geometrical patterns, this kind of like abstraction. As I said, everything is abstract, but here you might not really feel or understand that this is abstract. But coding and programming actually introduces that kind of mind to understand how everything actually is, how life is being coded. Only in this reality, at this level of energy, where this is still a duality, polarity, we have operating this zero and one. So this is a direct expression of that level of awareness. So therefore, the technology expresses the level of awareness. This will change as the level of energy and awareness will change. So keep that in mind. Another thing that I want to actually add to something that I said earlier about me being able to finally let go of the old story, the whole of it, the entire story, is because I reached a point in the progression of energy where, as I was saying earlier, everything behind this full rich experience here is a geometric pattern. Behind time, there are spirals. I said that, I explained that before. And there's not just spirals, but kind of like angles. And when you're supposed to go through a certain, I don't know, progression of time of events, until you actually reach that angle with another progression of things and events, you cannot see what's actually further away from, until you reach the intersection point, the joining of these two directions. Until then, you have no access, because the level of energy here does not allow for that much reach. So that's why a lot of things stay hidden, or they seem like they don't exist. They don't exist in the awareness of people. That's why it might come in, like somebody might have a vision about the future or whatever, and this is because that information is being given from when there's more energy and there's access to a lot more than what it is at that point in energy for that person. So in this reality, well, it's even kind of like wrong to say this reality, because this reality has shifted so many times, but this reality in the sense that the story that we have behind us, healing this reality, bringing it to actually its normal state of energy, where a lot of things are going to be possible. But it's beyond, actually, because when it's healed, actually it's something else, and we're moving from one type of reality to another type of reality. So one of the reasons why people cannot see in the future, or see just certain things which are being brought forward either by your higher self, or if you had help or whatever, or if you can access this from time to time, is because the energy of Christian hasn't reached that joining point in the progression, and it's like it's a spiral, but then again there's this angles. I'm just going to use like I forgot the name. Anyway, so you have to go through all these things until you reach another line of thought of progression. So that's important to know. Whenever you cannot see ahead in the future, is because whatever it's further and further away, it's not on this, say, timeline in a sense that you don't have access to that kind of like energy line, because you haven't reached that point to see what's coming. it's impossible. It's if you don't have the codes to do that, enough energy to see beyond that point, it's impossible. So bear that in mind whenever you feel like, well, I cannot see ahead or whatever. It's because of that. Also, you're not meant to see certain things ahead, because you need to transform, you need to go through the experiences that you need to go through in order to learn, in order to absorb all the things that it's necessary for your transformation, for your growth. So that's also very, very important. The thing that's most difficult for me to talk about are the experiences or the abilities that activate certain abilities in me. I explained, I said before that it's not safe to talk about certain things. Also, certain things go into the books further, because certain things are made for that specific medium, where this is how you're going to get that, this is how you're going to absorb certain ideas and concepts that can transform you. Because I know energetically the time where most people are, it's not really helpful just one single form of expression of like giving you a message, and that might not reach you correctly right now, or where you are in energy. So the books have their special place on what I'm supposed to do. So in what I'm supposed to do. So they are necessary for what I need to explain further. But it's more than just that. It's going to be the last part of the video. Obviously, there are things that I cannot talk about right now for various reasons. I tried to explain this a few times by now in other videos. What I can tell you is that a lot of the things that until now they were being revealed to me in the dream time, they are more part of me being awake. And as in, like, the energy allows for more of this, like, what has been constricted and what couldn't like run smoothly and become a real experience, or to become here a full experience. Now it's like there's these glitches, more and more glitches, which allow for it to like come through this reality and not just in the dream time. That's kind of like another layer of this reality that's like before, and then it's bam, it's here. So a lot of these things happen more and more for me. So I spend more and more time in that kind of like, oh, sorry, my neighbors. I spend more time in this reality where things make sense when I'm there. When I'm coming back, I write everything down. But then it still feels like after a while when I read it, I forget about it and I come back to it. Obviously, a lot of these things were going to be put in the books for later. But this is how you actually understand the difference in energies, like how different that energy is, and coming back into this reality, trying to explain it in this medium, it's very limited, and it's really annoying at some point, because everyone is trying to put a certain like mold around it, say the truth cannot be unless it is expressed like this or like that or whatever. And what I'm shown is beyond that, and at the moment cannot be measured like that. But it's something that it's tangible. It's becoming more and more tangible. That's what I can say. And also, I am always shown, I told you a lot about language. That's what I'm shown as like code and how to code life. The code behind everything, basically. The structures, how structures, mechanism, things like that work, and at the base of everything, it's the words, the language. Well, it's the language behind the language. It's weird, but that's what it is. And yes, another thing is that my words become more and more alive. Well, they've always been more alive than other people's words. And I know when I say this, I might sound arrogant. You see, I cannot say a lot of things because of these kind of things. So I have to walk a very thin line, but then again, trying to give you a message, trying to tell you something true. It's very, very important from now on that the words match what you say, match what you do, because they are a creative force. And for me, that becomes more and more evident as experience. So when I do all these things, I see the power of the words that I am speaking, that I am using, or even the words that I am thinking, not just the things that I am speaking, but also the words that I am thinking. So they come more and more alive, and they become more and more alive, and I see how this changes things around me and in people around me, and me talking to you through this camera. Even you might not notice, and when you watch this video, I see she's vague, she's weird. But that's the frustrating part, because I have to live with the fact that there's parts that cannot be explained, and I have to find a way to bring forward something that it's not from here, but it has to come in here. I have to bridge two things. So that's another thing that is happening, that those things become stronger and stronger, and change everything. There's many other things, but as I said, there will be other videos, and we will actually dedicate times for those things as well. I hope this was interesting. Have a lovely rest of December, whatever you celebrate, Christmas or any other type of celebration you might have, and see you next year. Ciao. Said that I'm a hybrid right now. I'm doing my dry mode, but I consume things. There's weeks then I cannot have more than almost a